So in front of you and in front of me, I've got the letter L. Now, the reason why we're doing the letter L and the reason why this is labeled steep slope and split step, okay, along with scroll block is because if you can do the letter L, you can do the scroll block, you can do the steep slope, and the letter L is just the split step on its side. I mean, that's literally all it is. It's very simple, okay? So we're going to start with the steep slope, and I'm just going to show you how this can transform into the different images. Okay. So right now I have the letter L. Okay. Make sure your name is on the top along with what this is. In this case, it's the letter L. I didn't put it on here because we're going to transform this into something else. All right. So if we look at the steep slope, we're going to notice that there are points here and points here that this line runs into. Okay. These are kind of freehand, which doesn't mean you just draw it without, without any help. It just means that this doesn't follow any of the angles that we're working with. Okay. 30, 60, or 90. So how do we make this? Well, let me show you. What we do is this line that's here that was erased, we're going to have to recreate this line. Okay. So if you're making the steep slope, you don't have to actually get rid of that line. All right, this line right here, this needs to be all erased. This line right here needs to be all erased. Okay, and if you notice, all I did was just re-extend this line, or if you're making this from scratch, just don't, bring this line back here, bring this up, right? Leave this line here, but you're not gonna even draw these lines in here. They don't need to be drawn. Erase that middle line, okay? And now what I'm gonna do is, if you notice, this point here goes back to there. This point here goes back to there. Now, warning, this is the only time I'm going to tell you to do this, right? The base of the triangle must always go on the baseline, okay? That's how we do this. Some people are going to want to try to take it and like, oh, can I do it like this? I'm like, nah, it's not going to work like that, all right? Because of the way we did this, we didn't make these 60 degrees, which would be if the triangle was sitting like this, right? Because these aren't 60 degrees, this is the only time, I'm going to put my head under here, this is the only time that you are allowed to do this, right? You're going to take the base of the triangle off the baseline, right? What we're going to do is, now we're going to just draw this line down here, okay, there to there, now here to here, draw this from this point here to this point here, okay? And then I'm going to reconnect this line here, all right? Now, this line that was drawn here, if you got to this point, this all needs to be erased. Okay? If you drew it from the letter L, all right? A lot of times it's easier for students to start at the letter L and kind of work their way back. But now you're going to notice that this whole side here, right? This is the whole side here. The slope that we see here is the slope that we see here. The triangle that we see here is the triangle that we see here. Okay? Pretty simple. And that is how you make the steep slope. Now, some people might be asking me, how am I going to make the scroll block? All right. Okay, the scroll block is actually really simple. It follows kind of the same parameters, right? In this case, the scroll block, we're going to start back with the letter L. So let's go back and make our letter L. Right? So if you're going to make the scroll block, so we're going to go back to this line here, right? This line here, this line here, and we're going to bring this line back up here. Okay, so if you're going to make the scroll block, you might be like, hey, Mr. C, what is this going to look like? This kind of looks a little odd. Like, I get you. I understand. So what are we going to do? right, so back to letter L. What we're really doing is we're just going to freehand. This is the only time you can really do this, is freehand these lines down to here and then freehand line down to here. Now, when we do this, this line right here is going to come back all the way, okay? And all of these are going to be pretty much just removed. All right, so this is going to be removed. All right, so these part of the L won't be here. And what we're going to do is, if you notice, this is the only time we get to do this, right? This part should be here, right? Now this is when we're going to do this. We just take it, we just curve it down. Here, take it, and we just curve it down, okay? That is how we make the scroll block. It's pretty simple. So again, if you can make the letter L, you can make the steep slope. You can see part of it left there. You can make the scroll block. You can see the rest of it here, okay? It's actually quite simple. They all pretty much revolve around the same original shape, which would be the letter L. And then from there, you can either make the scroll block or you can make the steep slope.